I understand there's an issue with WordPress that needs an update as well.
Yeah, this one just came out this morning. WordPress announcement on WordPress.org that they've released WordPress 4.1.2, and this is a critical security release. They strongly urge updating from any previous version to up to 4.1.2. 4.1.1 and earlier had a cross-site scripting vulnerability that would allow unauthenticated users to compromise the site. So that's a biggie. They addressed 3 other security issues in this one. There was an issue with invalid or unsafe file names that could be uploaded. There was another cross-site scripting in 3.9 and higher, and some SQL injection vulnerabilities in some plugins. So if you're managing any WordPress sites, I highly recommend that you update to 4.1.2 as soon as possible. I've already updated the couple of sites that I'm responsible for. So.
Well, since you brought that point up, one of the things, I don't know, I guess I have too many pet peeves, so this can't be a pet peeve, but this is one of the things that I know, John, you've encountered or run into before, is this, we'll call it ambiguity between the responsibilities of a cloud service provider and the leasers of that service.
Right.
And there have been cases where, and Jim, it sounds like you understand that line, that gray zone, but this is a case where, in a lot of cases, the WordPress is a patching associated with the application itself is a responsibility of the leaser, not the leasee.
Yeah, that's in a lot of the hosted web hosting setups. When you install WordPress in your newly set up managed hosting environment, you can choose whether or not the provider automatically updates to new versions or applies security fixes,
Mm-hmm.
or whether it's left as the responsibility of whoever's responsible for the content.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue is, if you allow automatic updating, it could potentially break your site.
Mm-hmm.
The downside is, if you don't allow automatic updating, then you could leave yourself vulnerable even after these security risks are revealed to the public. So it's a trade-off, and like some of the sites that I am responsible for, my church website, we automatically apply it. I've got one that's kind of a family thing that I apply them myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a tricky thing to decide which way to do it, but a lot of the hosting providers actually do allow you the option, but you have to select that when you first install WordPress usually.
I guess I guess we have to weigh the odds here. You could have your provider risk breaking your site, or you could have somebody you don't even know break your site, right?
Or you could
Well, obviously.
I think the model you find, though, out there in the world, there are a lot of big ISPs and web hosting providers in the United States, I won't mention names, that are pretty good about this.
Yeah.
That are give you these options to help you maintain and upgrade your systems. But you go through the rest of the world, and that's not necessarily the case. So it's left up to the end user who, is running the web hosting space to say, hey, I'm going to put WordPress on here and use it, or Joomla, or any of these other content management systems. And they become unmanaged at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find tons of these old versions of these things just laying around. What I would say, if I was a web hosting provider, is for those users who opted out, I might have something that's running on all of my servers that I maintain the bare metal of these things and the operating systems, and take a look and say, well, user 101 here has a vulnerable WordPress site. Maybe I'll send them an email,
Mm-hmm.
and get a list of the various ones that are not good. Because as a hosting provider, I might be concerned about these things being compromised and then being used in botnet-related activities or other
Right.
nefarious things that might consume a lot of bandwidth. unnecessarily, and also perhaps damage my reputation as a web hosting provider of running a clean environment in the the greater community out there.
My general advice is to stick with the mainstream, somebody that has a brand to protect. That is to stick with a provider that, or another indicator. Jim, I think you provided a good pointer there. That is, if they give you the option of them applying the patches or you doing it yourself, it at least conveys a message that they're going to be paying attention to it. These are fundamental things that you want from your hosting provider.
Right. If you're not having them automatically apply them, then it's got to be a situation where you are going and checking on it relatively frequently. You can't, if you're going to be the one applying the patches, you can't let it go, a month or a year without, logging into the administrative interface and seeing, oh yeah, there are updates that need to be applied. So that's one of the things. If you're going to run one of these on some hosting provider, you need some dedicated folks who are going to stay on top of it.